Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome, glad to have you here. Oh look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the office. Welcome to the morning grind. I hope you are doing well today. As Brett was just saying, happy Monday. Yes, happy Monday. So I hope that everybody has gotten off on the right start this Monday. I have been trying, and in fact, I think I'm going to try something a bit different this or after this grind here, because I want to work on core creative time, and I think that we should do some core creative time together. So we used to look at our at the end of the morning grind, take a look at our schedule and see what it is that we want to accomplish the rest of the day, so that we would know that we would had a great day. I think starting off on a Monday like that, trying to start something new here. It's almost the start of a new month. Basically, is the start of a new month. So we should probably start off with that. And I was thinking that what I could do then is just do a stream after the morning grind where we try to work on our creative projects or whatever it is that you need to accomplish during the day, and then hold each other accountable, because that was part of this. That was a part of this. And we've kind of gotten away from that. And plus, man, over the past 2 months, I have just not been the level of productivity that I would like to be. So maybe after our discussion today, we can help each other out and hold ourselves accountable and do some core creative activity today. Hey, today I got this out. I got out the One Ring starter set box. Does anybody have this one? Has anybody been playing this? I have not gotten to play it yet, but the reason I was thinking about this is because I've been thinking still a lot about the conversation that Mark Tassin and I had on Table Talk on Thursday when we were talking about game design and game development. And we were also talking a lot about asymmetric game design. And I've been thinking more about the asymmetry in game design. And I believe this has it in it. I believe this is one of those games that also has the asymmetry between the player characters and the NPCs. And so I wanted to take a look at that carefully and refresh my memory on how this game was doing that. So that's why I got this game out this morning. Good morning, BGD. Good morning. And good morning, Mike. Good morning. And James is here. And Stray. Got a great crew right here. Zero the Blade. Welcome. BGD says, I support your core creative activity as your channel supports my own. Well, that's should be all one big cycle, right? Everybody getting everything done. Yep, exactly. Stray says we got to move those rocks. Good morning. Good morning, humans. Yes. If there are any aliens among us, if there are any aliens, you are welcome to come on the channel. Hey, Tough Years. Welcome. Yes. So if there are if is anyone out there who is in fact from another planet or another dimension, please let us know and you can come on. We will be happy to take a break from talking about our games or whatever else to speak with an alien. But anyway, welcome to all of the humans out there and possibly aliens. All right, let's take our breathe and sip right here. So here we go. Let's take 2 deep breaths, 2 deep inhales, complete exhales, and then let's take a drink of our take a sip of our favorite drink here. Here we go. And sip. There we go. James says, Free League. They make some great stuff. I'm interested in the One Ring, so I'm picky about Tolkien. I always end up skipping the purchase. Totally my fault, though. Not the game. Yeah, you know, I remember being, well, I was skeptical. But I typically have bought a lot of the Tolkien RPGs. I remember being skeptical of a D20 based RPG because there was the One Ring. This was put out by Free League, but the One Ring was originally put out also by another company. It was originally developed by another company, and then they put out the One Ring with its custom dice, and this is a custom system. But then they also put out a D20 version of 5e version of the Lord of the Rings, and I was very skeptical of that. I do have that. I thought on my hard drive as a PDF. I know that I looked at it because I was like, you know what? I think I will just go ahead and look at that. That's been a while. That's been years ago because that company lost the license. This was before the release of the Amazon series, and I was more impressed with the 5e version than I really thought that I would ever be. You know, they did completely custom classes. So it uses the same general kind of mechanic, if you like that kind of mechanic, but they built everything from the ground up. So I was kind of impressed by that. And I think that Free League now has, so Octomocrat says the last D20 one was very well written. See, and that surprised me. It surprised me. And I think there is a 5e version. So maybe that was the D20 version, and this is going to be 5e that's coming. Because I think, let me check on that. So One Ring, Free League. .5e. So they may take this and they may try that again. That looks like the box that I've got over here. So anyway, so I may be wrong about that. But I thought I'd been getting some emails about them putting out a new version for that as well. Yeah, okay, referring to the 5e version. Okay, so this is not the 5e version. This is their custom version. So we're going to take a look specifically at this for the asymmetry of this. So let's see. But I was a fan of this. When I read this, there is another video where I went over this in more detail on the channel. I did that before I was doing live streaming. So there is more on this channel about the One Ring if you want to see it. Let me go to the extra camera over here. Go auxiliary camera. All right. So we will take a look back here. So it's a pretty classic size starter box here. Oh, let me move my microphone. Over to this side. So this is a strange invitation from Cousin Bilbo mentioning that he's in need of help. Most odd, but then again, a great many things about that particular hobbit have been odd ever since that business with the dragon. Nothing wrong with taking a stroll and helping old Bilbo out, I suppose. After all, there aren't any dangers to worry about here in the Shire. So it says, the One Ring starter set contains everything you need to take your first step into Middle-earth and experience the adventures hobbits get up to. With streamlined rules and ready-to-go characters, it's easy to sit down and play the game. The One Ring is set between the time Bilbo went on his journey and the events of The Lord of the Rings, allowing you to explore the Shire by taking on the roles of some hobbits whose children will go on to do extraordinary things, such as Drogo Baggins, Rory Brandybuck, and Esmeralda Took. This box set contains a 24-page volume of condensed rules, a 52-page compendium covering the 4 farthings of the Shire, all the way from Greenholm in the west to Buckland and the Old Forest in the east, a 32-page volume containing 5 exciting adventures to play, 8 double-sided pre-generated character sheets, a huge full-color double-sided map showing the Shire and Eriador, 30 war gear cards for weapons and armor, 6 double-sided journey roll and combat stance cards, 2 D12 feat dice, and 6 D6 success dice. So we're going to take a special look at the mechanics here. 5e is the Lord of the Rings role-playing. That's the name, so it's not yet. Well, maybe, so is that the one I need to look up? Lord of the Rings role-playing by Free League? Okay, yes, thank you. Yes. So this is Free League? Yeah, this is Free League. Return to Middle-earth with Lord of the Rings role-playing, brand new adaptation of the works of J.R. Tolkien using the rules for 5e. So there is going to be another. Free League is also putting out a 5e version of this. So there's one we talk about. We said that Tolkien was one, or the Middle-earth in general was one of the ones that does have multiple rule systems. So I've got the old Iron Crown Enterprises sort of MERP-based. It's MERP, the Rollmaster-based one. Decipher's RPG that was kind of not well developed, but it was out there for a little while. And then I didn't play the One Ring, or the first incarnation of the D20 rules, but everybody was expecting, because whatever the company was that had this license before Free League, like everybody thought that it was going to WotC, because it was pulled right before the Amazon, in preparation for the Amazon release of their TV show. I thought, who are they sending that to? Oh, it must be WotC. And then, surprise, it was not. Oh, I just turned this over. So there's also something, there's stuff in here in the box top. This game does use custom dice. Here, so we'll take a look at those in just a moment. We do have custom dice. We got D6s and D12s. I got the good guy and the bad guy dice. Cards, we like cards. So they said these cards cover like weapons. So here is our short sword, approximately six. Oh no, short. I was about approximately 6 feet in length. No, this is a short spear. Short spear, approximately 6 feet in length. A spear can be hurled as a javelin or deftly thrust with one hand. Damage 3, injury 14, load 2. Combat proficiency spears. Notes can be thrown. Special damage, heavy blow, fend off, and pierce. So there you go, short spear. So that's the kind of information on here. Let's take a look at our character sheet. See what's in here. So this is character sheet for Balin, son of Fundin. Yeah, the dice. Okay, so the dice, James says these are some sick dice. So we do have, when we're looking at them here, I'm going to have to remember how to use them. But we've got some dice that are solid, like some sides that are solid colors, like 6, 5. Okay, but then some of them are just outlines, 1, 2, and that does matter. So 4 is solid. 3 is outlined. That is useful and significant in the game. And then we also have, was this the Tenwar? Right here, we've got this the little T. I think you can see up there. On some sides, it may just be on the 6, but we do also have that. So that's significant as well. So that's part of the custom system here. And then when we go over to our D6s, we've got the Gandalf rune here. And then we also have the Eye of Sauron over on this other side on this D12. And then we've got a bunch of numbers going around as well. So that should go 1 to 10. 1. Well, 1. Yep, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I see through 10. So that should be right. Should be 1 through 10, plus you have the Gandalf rune and the Eye of Sauron. So how do you, well, let's take a look at this character sheet so we see what we've got here. So this is Balin, son of Fundin. We've got strength, heart, and wits. So those, we got 3 main characteristics: strength, heart, and wits. I think Sable Phoenix is talking about 3 being the least you can have. So we got 3 being the least we can have. But we've got TN here. So this is telling you what the target number for your strength, your wits, and your heart is. So that's what you're supposed to roll. So that's why it says TN over here. That much I remember. There is some weirdness in some way that was explained. I remember there were questions on the other video that I wrote about like how you roll for targeting or something like that when you're attacking. But you've got the target number. So rather than going a bonus or anything like that, you just have your number here. So I've got a 13 for strength, 14 for heart, 13 for wits. I forget what this number is up here. We'll have to check on that. But then we also have a secondary components, endurance, hope, and then also a parry score. And then we've got skills that are based on each one of these stats. Like strength is awe, athletics, awareness, hunting, song, and craft. Skills are enhearten, travel, insight, healing, courtesy, and battle. And wits is persuade, stealth, scan, explore, riddle, and lore. And we've got combat proficiencies down here. Obviously, Balin looks like he's really good with axes down here. Rewards Balin's axe, grievous and keen, and also coat of silver mail, close-fitting, cunning make. Virtues, dark for dark business, inspired in the dark, dour-handed, add +1 to the damage inflicted with heavy blow. Durin's way, +2, parry underground. War gear, Balin's axe, Balin's axe is damage 6, injury 18, load 2. And we also have current endurance here and load over here. So it's kind of like a slot-based encumbrance, but just tells you, like, so instance, the war gear is load 2, so that's what your load is. We've got a place for fatigue over here and current hope. We also have 2 conditions, and our conditions are weary and wounded. Barney says, I thought the classes in the 5e version were a little bland. I understand the argument why you can't have magic in a Middle-earth game, but it just leaves a lot less variety for classes in an RPG. I think that's how Lord of the Rings RPGs handle classes in general. Well, yeah, the MERP did, yeah, and I see people were talking about that. Yeah, James Marty says MERP had magic, infamously too much, but a lot of the spells were minor effects explainable in the lore as Legacy or Aragorn's almost magic tracking abilities. Tough Years points out that the D12s were misprinted, but that's been fixed. That's been fixed. It is true that, like this one right here, so Free League fixed it. So like on right here, when this originally came out, there was an 11. That's why this dice should be 1 to 10, and then you've got the Gandalf and the Eye of Sauron. But for some reason, there was an 11 on this. So this went... so obviously something else is missing. That 11 should have been a 1. So all I did was come in here and I just blocked out one of those, used some paint and blocked that out. But they fixed it. When they realized the error, they fixed it. I think that's why I've got this over here too, because I'm pretty sure they sent me 2. So they reshipped everybody's dice, so they were correct. So yes, there wasn't originally a misprinting error, but everybody who had the misprints got them updated. So, yep, there was a misprint, but Free League fixed it and sent out new dice to everybody. And like I said, it wasn't that difficult. It's not like you couldn't play because all I did was just take some paint, and everybody knew that 11 was supposed to be a 1. Yeah, we've looked at Against the Dark Master here. Against the Dark Master updated. I would definitely play, if I were going to play something like MERP today, I would definitely play Against the Dark Master because it is updated. Candace said this is the Spinal Tap of dice. I don't know what that means. Okay, so otherwise we have in here, so we do have a big map in here. We got a book, world book just on the Shire, and these are the perfect brown books. Well, I've got. If you want to look at MERP, I did do before I was doing live streams. I went through MERP and hit all of the highlights. So there are videos on my channel about MERP if you want to watch. Want to go back down memory lane and take a look at MERP. All right, so that's the Shire. So we've got a world book on the Shire. That's the adventure book for the Game Master for adventuring the Shire. I would like to adventure in the Shire. Oh, and a book on Rivendell as well. Did I put this from someplace else? I wonder if Rivendell came from someplace else. But I've got a book in here on Rivendell as well. Oh, because it turned things up to, okay, I get you. Yeah, I blanked out one of the 11s as well and got the replacement dice. Spinal Tap turned things up to an 11. I got you. Okay, so the rules. Here is the rule book. So how do we actually play here? Refresh my memory, because it is a custom system. Okay, so action resolution. Okay, simply put, the lore master should ask for a die roll only if there's a possibility that a player's chosen action may fail. If the description of an action does not leave any doubts about its outcome, there's no need to make a roll. The action succeeds successfully. But that's not all there is to it. Resorting to a roll should be considered exclusively if an action or goal could fall into one of the following instances. 1, danger. Roll if the action is dangerous. If the player hero does not risk anything by failing, do not roll. Knowledge. Roll if the action aims to obtain information that is not immediately available. So we do have knowledge rolls in here. The one ring, okay, and then manipulation. Roll if the action intends to influence one or more uncooperative lore master characters. You're talking about the beauty of this. I mean, the layout. I'm also a big fan of the layout. You're talking about the layout here. It does have very simplistic like cover designs and things like that. But this is one of the reasons that I like custom RPGs, dedicated RPGs for specific worlds rather than always using a generic system, even though I really like the generic systems, is that when you do have a game system that is dedicated to a particular world, you can do things like have the nice layout and things like that, that I think add something to the table's atmosphere. Or if the action intends to influence one or more uncooperative lore master characters. Okay, so the One Ring makes use of a specialized set of dice, including six-sided dice. And like I said, I don't think there's any difference between the two different sets of dice, other than one of them is themed good guy and one of them is themed bad guy. So the D6s are called success dice, and then two 12-sided dice with two special icons. These are the feat dice. A set of One Ring dice with exactly the amount of dice needed for the game is included with the starter sets, but players may find it useful to bring some more, as they will be convenient for each player to have a set close at hand. Okay. When it's necessary for a die roll, the necessity for a die roll has been established. It must be determined who is going to make the roll and which ability is most appropriate for the action. Who rolls? Determining who is going to make the roll is easy in the case of actions chosen by the players. Can be less so if the roll is being made as a reaction to something described by the lore master. Generally, it's highly advisable to have a single player make a roll, except when something involves everyone in the group. To do so, the players simply choose the player hero who's best suited to the task at hand, instead of having everybody do that. So which ability? The ability to use depends on mostly the type of die roll. Skill rolls. By far, the most common type of actions, skill rolls are required whenever a player hero attempts to do something that can be accomplished using one of the 18 skills listed on the character sheet. So we saw that over here. We got 18 skills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 skills under each one of the 3 main characteristics. Combat rolls. When involved in a fight, the player heroes rely mostly on their combat proficiencies to make attack rolls and on protection rolls to avoid being injured when hit. Finally, the lore master may ask the players to make a valor or wisdom roll, prompting by sources such as fear or sorcery as indicated in the text in the adventures. Okay, once determined the correct ability, proceed to make the roll employing its numerical rating. All abilities can be used to make a roll are given a value ranging from 1 to 6. Okay, let's say that again. All abilities that can be used to make a roll are given a value ranging from 1 to 6. Roll 1 feat die plus a number of success dice equal to the ratings of the appropriate ability. Roll only 1 feat die if the rating is 0. Okay, so I'm assuming right here, I said I've looked at this before, but I'm having to remember this completely. It's been so long. Barney says, feels like old school box sets. I think that's kind of what they were going for. I think it is what they were going for. It does to me as well. The little designs on the sides of the pages and the almost pencil-like art. Small touches go a long way. Yeah, I think that's the way they were going. In fact, the MERP book was kind of like that. So I think they might have been deliberately trying to invoke that nostalgic feeling. So, it says that everything's rated from 1 to 6. So we got 6 possible diamonds here. So some of these are filled in. So they could be from 1 to 6. Maybe that's what we're talking about. And it says if it's 0. So if I'm trying to roll stealth and I'm Balin, I would just roll the feat die. So there's the feat die. Add up the numeric. Okay, so roll 1 feat die plus a number of success dice equal to the rating of the appropriate ability. Roll only 1 feat die if the rating is 0. So I'm assuming that if I'm supposed to be doing battle down here, 3. I got 3. If anybody has played this before, let me know if I'm going in the right direction. I would roll 1 feat die and 3 success dice. Okay, that seems to be what Tough Years is confirming right here. Then add up the numerical results on all dice, comparing the total to the target number associated with the rolled ability. So I'm guessing then my target number is 14. So if I'm rolling battle, I'm rolling these 3 right here. I rolled a 7, see, 12, 18, 19, 23. That seems like a pretty good roll. And my TN is 14, so I guess I succeeded. In general terms, if the rolled number is equal to or higher than the TN, the roll is a success. Otherwise, it has failed. A successful roll indicates that the acting player hero achieves their goal, while a failure means that something went wrong and that the desired goal was not achieved. Some rules state explicitly what happens in game terms in the case of a success or failure. Combat, for example, while other situations require creativity from the players and the lore master. In any case, the consequence of both a successful and failed rolls always determine a well-defined challenge in the gameplay. D6s have an extra effect. Okay, yes, and we're talking about that, the T on them, the tenwar, right? Okay, we haven't gotten to that quite yet. I think we're okay. We're about to over here. As a rule, players only have 1 attempt at anything that is resolved with a die roll. When they succeed or fail, they have done their best. Whether they succeed or fail, they have done their best. If the lore master allows it, a failed action can be attempted again by the same player hero if they try again using a different ability, effectively representing a different approach to solving the problem. Of course, a player hero who is given a second chance must always cope with the consequences of having failed the first time. Okay, how to read the feat die. Each feat die shows a number ranging from 1 to 10 right here, and 2 special icons, the Gandalf rune, the G, and the Eye of Sauron. The 2 icons are normally read as follows. The Gandalf rune is the greatest result you can get on the feat die. When the die comes up showing a Gandalf rune, the action succeeds regardless of whether the total result on the roll is enough to match or beat the TN or not. Okay, so the Gandalf rune then is automatic success. It told us, so the philosophy, it seems, of this game right here is also, hey, go ahead and roll, right? We were talking about that with Mark. Okay, go ahead and roll. Because even though I don't have healing, if I'm playing Balin here, I don't have healing, but I can roll my feat die. So, okay, so my feat die, is 1 to 10, so I'm never going to roll over the target number, but it's giving me a 1 in 12 chance to succeed anyway. So I guess that's what it's doing. So I would get a 1 in 12 chance of succeeding a healing roll because I can't succeed on the TN over here with just my feat die. So it's unlikely that I would succeed, but it is giving me the possibility. And 1 in 12 isn't bad. It's even better than the, hey, can I roll it? What if I roll a D12 and roll roll D20 and roll a 12? Excuse me. Well, it's even better odds than saying, hey, we're rolling D20s here, and if I roll a 20, can I succeed? So it's actually being rather generous here. Oh, it has been a long time since I got this. I probably did get it from Amazon. Probably. But it's been so long, I can't remember. So that's pretty generous. So this is a game, well, hey, can I go ahead and roll and try? The answer in this game is yes. The Eye of Sauron icon is considered to be the worst result possible on a feat die. When the feat die comes up showing the Eye of Sauron icon, the feat die result counts as a 0. Okay, so the Gandalf rune and the Eye of Sauron are not symmetrical. Gandalf rune is automatic success. Eye of Sauron just means 0. Well, no, that's not. So I don't think that's the case. So it says the icon is considered to be the worst possible result on the feat die. When the feat die comes up showing the eye icon, the feat die results is considered a 0. It wouldn't surprise me in some situations where it says if you roll the Eye of Sauron, you have failed. But right there, it says that just count the Eye of Sauron as a 0. How to read the success dice. Success dice are special 6-sided dice customized to show the numbers 1, 2, and 3 in outline. We knew that was significant. And 4, 5, and 6 in a solid color. In addition, a success icon, the Elvish numeral 1. Oh, so that's Elvish for 1. That's up here, appears alongside the number 6. Success dice are always rolled together with 1 feat die. Add the results of all success die to the results of the feat die with any tenwar icons rolled, indicating a superior result on a success dice. Degrees of success. See degrees of success overleaf. Okay, all abilities used in this game are associated with a target number, a numerical value that the roll must reach. The roll result must match or beat. Most rolls made by the player heroes are made against 3 attribute target numbers, attribute TNs for short, based on the ratings for strength, heart, and wits. Okay, that's what we thought. Joseph says it's an auto failure if you are weary. Okay. Because we do have, I remembered that was going to change things. Because I also think, doesn't weary or something like that have to do with our outlines or not too? Target numbers. Okay, so each target number is equal to 20 minus its corresponding attribute score. Okay. So this up here is the attribute score. I think that's what this... That's not quite right. Each attribute TN is equal to 20 minus its corresponding attribute score. So that kind of implies that my strength score must be 7 because my TN becomes 13. We'll have to look into that. I remember that during character creation. I did go through and create a character, and I think I did a couple of things incorrect when I was doing character creation. But, okay, so attribute TN is equal to 20 minus its corresponding attribute score, but it's here. Maybe there's some kind of weird dwarven special ability where my strength is 5, but I have a better TN or something like that. I don't know. Okay, so example. So we need an example here. Scouting ahead, Paladin Took has a chance to notice a group of brigands setting up an ambush. He has an awareness skill of 2. So he rolls a feat die plus 2 success die, adding up all the results the dice rolled. Awareness is a strength skill. A roll result is compared against Paladin's strength TN of 13. With the success dice showing 4 and 5, and the feat die showing an 8, Paladin's player does not need to do much maths to know that the Hobbit has succeeded. Okay, this is degree of success. If a roll result that achieves its target number, or results in the Gandalf rune, and produces 1 or more Tenwar icons, its outcome is an outcome of a superior quality. A musician performs particularly well. A lookout spots enemies from a long distance. An orator succeeds in galvanizing a larger audience. The greater the number of success icons rolled, the better. So if there are no success icons rolled, if no Tenwar icons are scored, the action was successful, but didn't achieve anything beyond the bare minimum, but it is a success. If a single one is scored, then the player hero's accomplishment was out of the ordinary, a great success. If 2 or more are scored, the result was absolutely exceptional and memorable. It is an extraordinary success. That's all the info we get on that at the moment. Hey, Neutromancer. I've never been able to get this out. We've been doing dinner and a board game, but maybe one day we just do some RPGs. I would like that. I'd like to try this one out. Maybe stream it. Okay, dice roll modifiers or die roll modifiers. The following are a number of variations upon core rules of the game. They represent those advantages and drawbacks that affect the player heroes as the most explicit demonstration of the abilities as heroes. A favored roll happens when a player hero possesses a special affinity for a task. When making a favored roll, roll 2 feat dice instead of just 1, keeping the best result of the 2. Okay, if your roll is favored, so that's kind of like advantage, I suppose, but it's only for the feat die. So if your roll is favored, roll 2 feat die, pick the best one. Typical sources of favored rolls are a player's favored skills. See skills on page 14. Ill-favored rolls, the opposite of a favored roll, is made. An ill-favored is when a player hero is suffering from some limitation. When making an ill-favored roll, players roll 2 feat dice instead of 1, keeping the worst result among the 2. Okay, sources of ill-favored rolls are indicated in the adventures. It is possible for a player hero to be attempting something under favorable circumstances or employing a particularly beneficial talent. When this happens, the player hero may be granted a bonus in the form of a number of additional success dice. Bonuses are indicated in the text as gain 1d or more, meaning the player hero adds 1 success die to those that they are otherwise entitled to roll. Hope bonus. A character's hope score. We have current hope over here. I don't know what it's blank. I'm not sure what my hope currently is. Oh, no, I guess it's 12. Hope is here with heart. So maybe my current hope score is 12. We've looked at Strider, so I might actually have to do that too. Because I play some solo board gaming. I've never done a solo RPG, so playing in Middle Earth with Strider mode might be something to do. We looked at Strider mode on the Morning Grind. They do look very retro. I think that was the whole style. Let's see. Do I need a little bit more light over here? Okay, so hope. A character's hope score is a pool of points representing the reserve of spiritual vigor that heroes draw from when confronted by difficult odds, or when a particularly good result is required by the circumstances. A player about to make a die roll can spend 1 hope to get 1d. Hope can be spent to gain dice on any roll made by the player hero. It's not possible to spend multiple hope points to gain multiple bonus success die. Okay, so you can't spend 3 to get 3 extra dice. But if you need to, I got 12 hope, so I can add, I can throw in an extra die if I need to. I guess that also helps out with things like, okay, if I really had to make this healing roll, then it still would be it would still be unlikely, but better. Because I could do it with hope. I could do it if I rolled the Gandalf rune, or if I rolled a 6 and an 8. I could do that. Inspiration. Certain circumstances may result in a player hero being temporarily inspired. Inspired player heroes double the benefit of spending a hope point. An inspired player hero who spends 1 hope point to get a hope bonus gains 2d instead of 1d. Penalty success dice. Player heroes wish they were lucky enough to enjoy only favorable circumstances. At times, fortune seems to conspire against them, and they may put themselves in danger by their own volition, looking for greater benefit. Or they have fallen victim to some malicious power or spell. When this happens, the player hero may suffer from a penalty. Penalties are normally indicated in the text as lose 1d or more, meaning that a player hero rolls fewer success dice down to a minimum of 0 success dice. And it does tell you that, okay, your favored and ill-favored cancel out, and also bonuses and penalties cancel out. Okay, conditions. So we got 2 conditions. We can be weary or wounded. Dice rolls can be modified by 2 special conditions that affect the player heroes. Conditions are recorded on the character sheet by checking the corresponding boxes. So weary. The resistance of the player heroes is represented in game by their endurance score. The resistance endurance score. All right, I got endurance over here by strength. So Balin has an endurance of 27 over here. The resistance of the player hero is represented in game terms by their endurance score. Heroes can lose endurance in many ways. When their endurance drops to a level equal to or lower than their load score, they become weary. So say that again. So heroes can lose endurance in many ways. When their endurance drops to a level equal to or lower than their load score, they become weary. So my load score right now is 16, and my endurance is 27, so I'm not weary. Oh, look. Okay, so it says my load is 16, but Coat of Silver Mail is load 10. And my shield is load 4, so that's 14. And then my battle axe is 2. So right now, I guess that's how I'm getting my load of 16. I also have a viol. Dwarf-made viol. I guess that doesn't have anything about load on it. But I guess if I were to actually load up with rations and things like that, my load would get higher. That's pretty... I mean, I guess that's just, I guess, my combat load. My mail, my shield, and my axe. Gets me to 16. My endurance is 27. If my endurance is going to decrease, because this is going to be my current endurance right here, and as soon as it equals my load or lower, then I become weary, and I check weary. Now, what does that mean? When a weary hero is making a roll, all the success dice that come up showing the outlined result are considered to have a result of 0 instead. Okay, so that's it. So as soon as you become weary, the 1s, 2s, and 3s are ignored on the success dice. So we don't on the fate die, we don't have outlines. So 1s, 2s, and 3s are ignored once you become weary. Barney says, I like it. A bit different from the usual fare. It is, and that's one of the reasons I like it as well. Much more possibility for varied outcomes with skill-based dice pools rather than roll d20, add stat, and skill bonus to hit AC and DC, which we see all the time. And that's, I think, I do want to play this. Maybe it'll happen eventually. But that's one of the reasons that I do like it. It seems like, a lot of people have said this is the game that captures the feel of Middle-earth the most of all the different RPGs out there that, people that I have seen have been very positive, with a couple of exceptions. I know there are a couple of people in the comment section who do float around here as well on the live streams I've seen and other places who are very anti this game. And they think that the people who I've seen who are anti this game seem to think that it's, well, I've heard the name glorified board game used. That they're like, this isn't an RPG. This is very much a more gamist approach. Now, I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. That's kind of the way that I've been going, kind of, and with my thinking on RPGs anyway over the past maybe year or so. So I'm not even sure if that's true. But even if it were, that doesn't really bother me. But yeah, so they came up with something completely unique here to represent adventuring in the world of Tolkien. Hey, Robert, good to see you. James says, could the system support a Rohan campaign set entirely in the Rittermark, dealing with minor border skirmishes and the occasional warg incursion, and then politicking with Gondor and Mirkwood? I think so. I think it's supposed to. In fact, I'm waiting for a Rohan supplement to come out. There was a Rohan supplement, I think, for the earlier edition. I don't think a Rohan supplement has been put out by Free League yet. Here's the main book right here. But I want to play one. Because I do want to play a Knight of Rohan, and I also want to play a Swan Knight of Dol Amroth. This, the starter set was just is Shire focused. I was just going to look up over here heroic cultures, seeing what is in here in what kind of character you can play with the core set. Because I think Rohan is not in the core set either. What is in the core set? So I think we're still looking for an expansion. Hopefully they do one. Now, maybe I ought to put in to write that. Middle Earth is my favorite fantasy world. I wonder if it would be awesome to actually write something in the world of Tolkien, like officially. That would be pretty cool. I wonder if Free League is looking for anybody. So your characters in this heroic cultures. The Bardings. He was a descendant. I also love the quotes. He was a descendant in the long line of Girion, Lord of Dale, whose wife and child had escaped down the running river in the ruins long ago. From the ruins long ago. So Barding is in here. The dwarves of Durin's folk is here. Only on the road would travelers be found, most often dwarves, hurrying along on businesses of their own, with no help and few words to spare for strangers. The elves of Linden. Yes, it is. Yes, it is elves, said Frodo. One can meet them sometimes in the woody end. Hobbits of the Shire. He wished to go on and see great mountains and hear the pine trees and the waterfalls and explore the caves and wear a sword instead of a walking stick. The men of Bree. 4 miles along the road, you'll come upon a village, Bree under Bree Hill, with doors looking westward. Rangers of the North. In the wild lands beyond Bree, there are mysterious wanderings. The Bree folk called them Rangers, and they knew nothing of their origin. Okay, so that's it. So those are our heroic, what they call them, the heroic cultures. So even the core book is still, well, we got the Bardings, but is kind of Eriador focused. So yes, if they do come out with a Rohan expansion, I suppose I would know because I'm on their media list. I also want to play in Rohan, or at least have the option to create Knights of Rohan. Barney says, yep, especially with the weary and hope modifiers, it feels very Middle Earth. Neutromancer says, I think I'm going through an RPG experimentation phase. Would be cool to try this. Yeah, it's true. And if you need a dice tray, I've got handmade dice trays over on ravenkeep.net. Check those out. Oh, you should Neutromancer says, I just finished a Blade Runner game. How did that go? Yeah, we looked at Blade Runner box sets here on the grind. It seemed pretty cool. Did it go well for you? The tough years, it's the travel system that's a bit board gamey. Okay. I don't know if I looked at that part yet. That's probably in the core book. Tough Year says there is a fan-made module. I think you're talking about Rohan here that converts the old Cubicle. Oh, Cubicle 7. That's right. That's who had it. Cubicle 7. Of course. The old Cubicle game into the Free League one. So yeah. So Cubicle 7 had put out a Rohan guide. Yeah, that's right. So there was there is one that you can get, but it's for the different edition. So then there's a fan-made module that updates that Rohan guide to this Free League version. Okay. James says, yeah, I think I'm sold on the system so far. Obviously, the setting is fantastic. Free League is offering a discounted bundle, too. Oh, really? Oh, well, now might be a good time to pick it up. So, okay, so we found out what weary was. Wounded. Serious injuries can cause a hero to become wounded. While losing and recovering endurance is an everyday occurrence, being wounded is a more serious predicament for an adventurer and will affect them for much longer. Wounded heroes who remain active risk being knocked out of combat and recover endurance points more slowly. See resting. Wait, did you? I thought somebody said that. I didn't. Right there, it didn't say anything about the Eye of Sauron. Joseph said that the Eye of Sauron was an auto fail if you are weary. Maybe that is in that core rulebook over there, because I didn't see that here in. At least this is the guide over here that came in the starter set. You won't get the limited edition misprint dice. Neutromancer says, I missed the Blade Runner RPG grind episode, but it was pretty cool. Combat is mega deadly. You can literally roll an automatic gun kill with no defense. The game doesn't expect constant fights. The starter set case file has a lot of cool handouts to give to players. That's why that's one of the things I really liked about it and wanted to play it. I played the VTT version. Yeah, the eye counts as 0, right? We haven't seen anything about, because it says in our summary over here, the eye counts as 0. So it's not symmetrical between the eye of the Sauron and the rune of Gandalf. So it could be in the core rule book. Well, actually, so is that true? That seems odd. That seems like a really important rule for it to not be. Let's look at weary distinctive feature 60. No, that's weary, page 22 and 69. Let's see. See, this. See, one of the problems that's why people kept having some questions is because the organization is weird here. It's like it says, okay, so I looked up weary. So here's what it says in the core rulebook. Used in conjunction with a hero's load, see gear, page 47. Endurance determines when the weight or bulk of any weight of equipment starts to affect the player hero's performance. It says heroes become weary if their current endurance score becomes equal to or lower than their total load. When this happens, the weary box on their character sheet is checked. Player characters remain weary until their endurance rises above their load again. But that doesn't tell you anything about, like this actually told you more here because it's going to tell you, this doesn't tell you what to do when you're weary. It says, hey, when you're, endurance is equal to or less than your load score, you become weary. Oh, what does that mean? Oh, that means you should check the weary box. Okay, well, what does that mean? So I see, like, I would want that portion to say exactly what effect weary is going to have, especially if I go all the trouble of looking it up in the index. Okay, so anyway, wounded heroes who remain active risk being knocked out of combat and also recover lost endurance points more slowly. So, but anyway, so that's basically how we play. So that's the basic mechanic of how we're going to play this game. And this is all of our skills and stuff. And then our combat proficiencies. Okay, now this is where I think we have asymmetry between the player heroes and I also like them being heroes. Because, when I was playing Hero Quest, of course they're heroes. So I like the players being heroic individuals. I got caught up there looking at something in the comment section. All right, so I think in combat here we have this. We've got combat proficiencies, endurance and hope. Well, okay, we do have resting here. So player heroes regain lost endurance points by resting. The extent of player heroes' recovery depends on whether they take a short rest or a prolonged one. If they take a short rest, under most circumstances, a day of adventuring allows for a maximum of one short rest, usually in the middle of the day. If a precise timing count is desired, a short rest may be said to correspond to at least 1 hour of inactivity. With a short rest, adventurers recover a number of lost endurance points equal to their strength. Wounded heroes do not recover any points at all. So I still guess that must be, my strength score must be 5. So with a short rest, I'm guessing that. I haven't explicitly said that all the way. Exactly. Neutral, at least give me a page number. Now, see, that's the negative. Tough Years concurs. we found that when we played this game, the rule book was all over the place. You had to search and find different rules. So that sucks because, I don't generally mind annotating my books. Like my 5e, I didn't think the 5e D&D 5e player's handbook was very well organized. I was constantly looking for things and not having information where it was. So I just always kept a pencil or a pen, and I just started, when I finally found it and then found some information, put in the other place, I would just start writing in the margins of my book, the other information that I thought was missing and should have been there. And then also flagging different things inside the book. So I don't generally mind that, except for this one is such a nice book. I mean, this one is a much nicer one because I think of the player's handbook in many, like the D&D player's handbook, is kind of a workhorse. But this one has such a feel about it. But I guess that's what I will have to do is take notes, which is a shame. Balin is the best hobbit in the trilogy. That's probably why I would play him. So let's see, what other characters do we have in here? We've got Balin, son of Fundin, Roramic Brandybuck, Tremula Brandybuck, Paladin Took the Second, Lobelia Bracegirdle, lots of hobbits here, Esmeralda Took, Drogo Baggins. Oh, look, and a sheet actually for Bilbo Baggins. Balin's probably the coolest of all of those. Prolonged rest. Under normal circumstances, the group of player heroes is allowed to take a single prolonged rest each day, usually a night's sleep. The lore master may allow the group to take more than one prolonged rest if the players are recovering in a safe and comfortable place. When player heroes are taking a prolonged rest, recover all lost endurance points. Wounded heroes recover a number of hit points. Not hit points. Number of endurance points equal to their strength. Hope. Hope is a hero's reserve of spiritual fortitude and positivity. A hopeful character can keep going when physically stronger heroes have already succumbed to despair. During play, players can spend hope to gain a hope bonus on any die roll or to trigger the effects of certain cultural virtues. Got that. So recovering hope. Okay. Player heroes whose hope is reduced to 0 are spiritually drained. It is impossible for them to find the energy required to push themselves beyond their limits. So recovering hope. Recovering hope points indicates that a player hero are reaffirming their lost sense of confidence. Player heroes who are down to 0 hope in the course of an adventure recover a single point of hope when they take a prolonged rest. All player heroes recover a number of hope points equal to their heart score between adventures. So again, I guess my heart score is 4. So I would regain 4 hope points between adventures. And 1. Oh, is it? And if I'm down to 0, it says players who are down to 0 recover a single hope point when they take a prolonged rest. It doesn't say that you get 1 hope point back after every prolonged rest. It just says once you get down to 0, you get 1 back at the end of that rest. Right, yes. This is taking place after The Hobbit, before the Fellowship of the Ring. Yes. 0 hope, yes, is that bit in the movies when all seems lost. All hope is lost. Yes, very cinematic. So wisdom and valor. It's a useful items. It does say this. Any tool, instrument, or device carried by a player hero to perform one or more specific task is a useful item. Things like a hammer or a hunting knife or flint and steel, start a fire, and so forth. Useful items are used on a player hero's or listed on a player hero's character sheet. To determine if they gain a player hero an advantage, they are associated with a skill. If a player hero is making a roll outside of combat using a skill associated with a useful item, then the lore master deems that should grant the hero an advantage. The player hero gains 1d. Only one item can benefit on the same die roll. So I was noticing that over here It doesn't say anything about the veal that Balin has got. But, okay, Roromik here has a rabbit skinning knife that's useful for hunting. I noticed Bilbo. Okay, so Bilbo right here has a finely wrought pipe, which it says it's useful for insight. So I guess if you were rolling, there's insight right there, an insight check, and we're outside of combat, and I guess Bilbo can smoke his pipe. He gets plus 1d because of that for insight. All right, let's go over here. How much time are we going? Okay, let's go over here. Okay, here is combat. Okay, finally. Well, we basically know how to play. We do have something called stance cards here. This game is interesting. It's not played on a grid, but it would be another one that's really good for playing with terra tiles because we're doing kind of zones here. Once combat encounter is initiated, the following steps must be applied in order to keep the action flowing. If the player heroes and their opponents are separated by a distance at the start of a fight, all combatants are allowed to make ranged attacks before combat at close quarters is initiated. The lore master must determine how many volleys to allow based on the distance separating the fighters. Under most circumstances, all combatants are entitled to at least one volley using bows or thrown weapons. If the distance is greater, then the lore master might allow combatants to let loose 2 volleys or even more. All volley attacks are resolved as normal ranged attacks. See the next page. Normally, the volley exchange is resolved with the player heroes launching their volleys first, unless the lore master considers the circumstances to favor the opposition. When the opening volleys are completed, the combatants cover the distance that separates them and begin fighting at close quarters. Our close quarters rounds. Once fighting at close quarters is initiated, the gameplay is broken down into a cycle of rounds, playing one after the other until the end of battle. Each round follows the sequence set out below. Stance. Each player chooses their stances. And I got some cards right here. So I do have stance cards right here. Tough Year says Bilbo's pipe, for example, is a focus item, basically. Right. So these cards allow you to, I guess, what's facing you. Close combat, open. Close combat, forward. Close combat, defensive. Ranged combat, rearward. That allows you to do more ranged combat. So here we've got, you're choosing what your stance is once everybody basically enters your zone. So everybody chooses a stance. Engagement, all combatants in close combat are paired with one or more opponents. Attack roll resolution, the actions of all combatants are resolved with those fighting in close combat going first. All players, so with regarding these stances here, all player heroes select whether they will be fighting the round in close combat or ranged combat. Player heroes can choose freely to fight in close combat at the start of each round, while they are allowed to fight in ranged combat only if there are at least 2 other adventurers fighting in close combat. So that's been brought up here. Joseph says, I found my error. It's when you are miserable. Shadow is equal to your hope. Then Eye of Sauron's are a failure. Sorry for the confusion. No problem. You know, when I was just opening up that book, I saw the condition miserable, and I didn't think about that in relation to this die. But there's apparently some conditions that are present in the core book, or some, I mean, it seems to make sense. There's some things present in the core book that are not here in this starter set edition. So miserable appears to be one of them. So, okay, so if you're miserable, if you're experiencing misery, then the Sauron eyes are failure. Got it. Now we know. Thank you. So if you want to be Legolas and you want to be using your bow even in close combat, you can choose the ranged combat once they're in your zone, but only if there are at least 2 other adventurers fighting in close combat, basically covering you. So that that's keeping you from having to, move around on a hex grid or squares or whatever and try to maneuver or whatever. So if you don't have enough people to cover the ranged users in combat, then that's it. Fighters in close combat exchange blows in the thick of the fight using swords, axes, or other close combat weapons, while those engaged in ranged combat stay back using ranged weapons like bows and spears and can be targeted only by attacking using similar weapons. Engagement. At the start of each round, player heroes fighting in close combat must choose one or more opponents to engage. If all opponents are already engaged, player heroes without an adversary must join another player hero fighting an enemy. Player heroes fighting in ranged combat cannot be engaged in close combat and can only be attacked by enemies also using ranged weapons. If there are more enemies than heroes, it's possible there will be remaining enemies left over when everyone fighting in close combat has engaged an adversary. And this is why I think that having some miniatures out and using something like Terra Tiles would be a good idea. That way you can clearly see, okay, they're coming in, the volley, now they're all together. Okay, wait a minute, these two people are pairing up, these two people are pairing up, this one is on this person is also on this one, this person's back and doing ranged. It seems like using some miniatures or some counters or something like this would make that very easy. Okay, if there are more enemies than heroes, it's possible that there will be enemies left when everyone fighting in close combat has engaged an adversary. If this happens, the lore master chooses whether the spare enemies engage a player hero who is already fighting in close combat or stand back to attack with ranged weapons. Enemies who stand back to use ranged weapons may attack any player hero involved in the fight. Unless specified differently, this is attack roll resolution. All combatants are resolved with the player heroes going first. When all player heroes have resolved their attack, the lore master will resolve one of those of their adversaries. Close combat attack rolls are resolved first, then all ranged attack rolls follow. An attack roll is a die roll made using the combat proficiency corresponding to the weapon used. The difficulty of all attack rolls by the player heroes is based on their strength TN, modified by the parry rating of a targeted enemy. Okay, so your attack roll, let's go back to Balin here. So the difficulty of all attack rolls by the player hero. So this means that the players have everything they need to make an attack on their sheet. Well, no, that's not true. Because you got to know the parry score. Scratch that. Because you got to know the parry score of your enemy. Okay, but we know that if I'm fighting with my axes, so I'm going to be using a feat die, my axe, and I got 3 combat proficiency dice. My target is my strength TN, which is 13, modified by the parry of the target enemy. So, I know we have a bestiary over here. Someplace. Well, or so I thought. Okay, yes, okay. So here is an orc. So say I am attacking a great orc bodyguard. Less cunning than those who lead them, these fell creatures protect their captains at the cost of their lives. So the great orc bodyguard, okay, he's fierce and he's wary. So that I'm sure that means something. His endurance is 24, his might is 2, his hate is 6. So we do have I keep saying about asymmetry here. So the bad guys have got different stats than the good guys. So attribute level 6, endurance 24, might 2, hate 6, parry +2, armor 3. Okay, so let's say I'm fighting this great orc bodyguard. So his parry is +2. So my target number to hit him would be a 15. Rolled a 1 there. So that would be nothing if I were weary, but nonetheless I would still miss him. So I missed with my attack. There, that one would have hit. But the difficulty of all attacks made by adversaries against player heroes are equal to the target hero's parry score instead. So I'm not sure what I'm supposed to roll over here. And I think this is what was confusing people and was confusing me as well. I know how to roll Balin's attack here with dice, with the dice here, because I'm attacking with 3. So that's what I would roll. What is my target number? 13 plus the orc's parry. So the great orc chief over here has a parry of +3. Goblin archer has no parry. Orc guard +2 parry. Orc chieftain +3 parry. Orc soldier +1 parry. Okay. Trolls over here. Great cave troll. Oh, no parry for the great cave troll. But what we don't have right here, this is I think this is part of the craziness of the rule book, is what does the game master or the lore master roll against you? We know that right now I just have a parry score, so we don't have to worry about the bad guys. We don't have to worry about the bad guys' strength score modified by my parry score. When the bad guy attacks me, I just know that I have a defensive 15. So in that sense, it's kind of like just, okay, the armor class that the lore master is going to roll against. But what kind of dice do they roll? I think that's the big mystery that seems to not come up. So combat proficiencies, club 3, 6, 16, break shield, crush. So I believe that's probably saying club 3. That would mean that I'd roll 3 dice. Let's look over here to my orc bodyguard. The orc bodyguard has an orc axe 3, 18 break shield. And also broad-headed spear 3, 5, 16 pierce. I think that's telling me it's combat proficiency right there. So if the orc were going to attack me, it would roll 3 dice with its feat die, I'm guessing. I guess the bad guys roll feat dice as well. And then 6, another 6, 12, 13, 14. So he would have missed me. Is that everybody else's understanding? If you played before, is that your understanding as well? It tells me the asymmetry over here, but not with what they were rolling with the dice. Maybe bad guys don't get feat dice. I don't know. But it seems like I haven't seen anything that says otherwise. Okay, a successful attack roll inflicts damage in the form of an endurance lost based on the weapon used. Because, we haven't seen like hit points over here. We don't have hit points. We do have endurance loss. So a successful attack roll inflicts damage in the form of endurance loss based on the weapon used, and may inflict additional special damage types based on the degree of success of the roll. Finally, attacks may cause more long-lasting injuries if a piercing blow is scored. So endurance lost. When a melee or ranged attack roll succeeds, the target suffers an immediate loss of endurance equal to the damage rating of the weapon used. So we're not rolling here. So my damage over here is 6 on Balin's axe. So I would have scored 6 points of damage. If I beat 15, I score 6 points of damage on that orc chieftain. Player heroes who see their endurance decrease to match or go below their total load score become weary. So that can happen to you in the middle of combat. If their endurance is reduced to 0, they drop unconscious instead. So you fall unconscious at 0 endurance. Adversaries do not normally become weary due to endurance lost, but are normally eliminated upon reaching 0 endurance. Special damage. If a successful attack roll produces 1 or more success icons, then they can be used to trigger 1 or more special results. This kind of reminded me of who's doing the Star Wars games, that has the special dice with the different kinds of symbols that you can trade in for different types of effects. So this kind of feels like that to me. So when you're rolling those 6s, and if a successful attack roll produces 1 or more success icons, you can basically trade in those success icons for some special result. Each heading below indicates how many success icons are required to trigger the corresponding effect. Multiple success icons can be used to trigger different results or the same one multiple times. So heavy blow, any weapon can inflict a heavy blow if you are using one of the major successes right here. You have hit your opponent with great force and precision. Spend one success icon to inflict your adversary an additional loss of endurance equal to your strength rating. Again, this must be my strength rating. So a heavy blow, I will use that. I would get Balin's axe at 6, and then I would get to inflict an additional 5 if I make a heavy blow. So for adversaries, the I is the highest on a D12. I was wondering if they were going to fix that. Page 144 of the core rules. Let's go over here. You don't get to that rule until all the way at page 144. Feat die results for adversaries. When the lore master is making a die roll to resolve an action attempted by a servant of the shadow, it could be considered more appropriate to the theme to switch the meaning of the two special icons on the feat die. The I icon becomes the highest result possible and yields an automatic success. So yes, they are also rolling feat dice. And yields an automatic success, while the Gandalf rune becomes the lowest result possible and is read as 0. So for example, most adversaries score a piercing blow on a result of 10 or I result on their feat die. Good morning, PH. Or fend off any close combat weapon with a success. You exploit your successful attack to place yourself in an advantageous position. Spend one success icon to gain a parry modifier of +2 against the next attack aimed at you. Or pierce bows and spears with 1 tenwar, or swords with 2. You have hit a less protected part of your adversary's body. Spend one success icon to modify a feat die numerical results of your attack by +2, thus possibly triggering a piercing blow. I and Gandalf runes are unexpected. Oh, so you actually do need to keep your dice there in front of you, because if you roll, well, if I'm using a spear and I've got that, I could spend that result to bring this back up to an 8, to bring that up to an 8. Spend one success icon to modify a feat die numerical result of your attack by +2, thus possibly triggering a piercing blow. You have to remember not to pick up your dice. So what is a piercing blow? In addition to causing the loss of endurance points, any successful attack may inflict a piercing blow. An attack roll produces a piercing blow on a 10 or a Gandalf rune if you are a hero. Characters hit by a piercing blow must immediately roll 1 feat die. So characters hit by a piercing blow must immediately roll 1 feat die, plus a number of success die equal to the protection value of their armor worn. Okay, actually, the protection value of my armor worn is 4d plus 2. Yeah, because we hadn't had armor in here yet. So under a piercing, armor is going to affect you from that piercing blow. Characters hit by a piercing blow. Okay, so I hit, what is that? 11, 14, 15, 17, my Code of Silver Mail. The target number for this roll is equal to the injury rating of the weapon used by the attacker. Oh, we hadn't seen that yet. So we did say that my Balin's axe is injury 18. So when hit by a piercing blow, I like this because, okay, you can do the kind of ground down the hit point thing. You're inflicting damage and things like that. You can make somebody then weary once you drop them so far, but then occasionally you hit them with like with some kind of piercing blow, which all of a sudden can be rough. So the target number for the roll is equal to the injury rating of the weapon used by the attacker. So my injury rating is 18, so that's pretty big for Balin's axe. If the roll fails, the target of the attack has received a life-threatening blow, a wound. So that's how you become wounded. So you don't have to worry about being wounded just by the loss of endurance points. You're being fatigued. You're being worn down. You could go unconscious. So if you lose all of them, then you're going to go unconscious. But then you could also really be hit and take a wound. So most adversaries are killed outright when wounded, unless specifically specified in their description. Okay, so that's another way. So you could, Mark and I talked about that. Do you want to be in a situation where you put your player character, where like, could I go down this round? Like if you're fresh, could I go down? Do you want the answer to always be yes? Like in certain circumstances, this is. So this could be it. You're not going to go down, but you could be wounded. But could I kill the foe? Well, if you roll the piercing blow and whatever else, then you can automatically slay that orc. Wounded. Player heroes, on the other hand, can resist being wounded once without serious consequences, but risk more if injured a second time. So when player heroes are wounded for the first time, they check the wounded box on their character sheet. As seen under endurance, player heroes whose wounded box is checked recover endurance slowly. Player heroes who are wounded a second time, they receive a wound when their wounded box is already checked, see their endurance drop to 0, and they fall unconscious. This second wound is not recorded on the character sheet. Player heroes recover from their injuries between adventures or in 1 week. They are allowed to reduce the severity of their wound with a healing roll. A successful healing roll reduces the time required to recover by 1 day, plus 1 day for every 10 war icon scored, a minimum of 1 day. Each hero will be administered a successful healing roll, only once. A failed roll cannot be repeated until at least a day has passed, and the failure of the treatment isn't immediately apparent. However, this may be adjusted in the core rules, because it says serious injury and death. The rules about injuries as detailed in this starter set are meant to evoke a mood that is more appropriate to stories as they are presented in the adventures. Adventuring in the Shire is meant to be exciting, maybe thrilling, but never life-threatening. Hobbit adventurers and the like are meant to return home from an exciting tale to tell many relations and not be mourned after their demise. So it may be the case that the wounds, rules for wounds and injuries and things like that are more advanced, sophisticated, and or damaging in the core book. Okay, I'm glad I returned to this, because it's been a while since I've looked at this. And I do want to play. We got another vote for Strider mode. Don says that Strider mode is a cool mode to play. I may have to, that may be the first time I do like an RPG one. I might have to try Strider mode. I've never played a solo RPG. Try that as a stream or something. Welcome, Sable Phoenix. Neutromancer says this is similar to the criticals in Blade Runner. So that's usually more important than just your health going to 0. That all of a sudden you get hit by a piercing blow, and not good. So piercing blow, you can take out a foe, but at least in this you've got one. Oh my God, we've been injured. That's a good way. That tells you, oh, we've been wounded. It's time to back out. Maybe time to back out. So that does explain. See, I bet that we got heavy blow. So Madat can do heavy blow and fend off. It seems like I need some reference cards on like heavy blow, fend off, shield thrust. I saw some other special weapon things, fend off, pierce, but I think I need those as a reference. Like that should be on a little reference card that's sitting with everybody, so they know exactly what heavy blow and fend off, like how many successes it takes to trigger something like that. So that we don't have to constantly reference that in the rule book. And I think I saw more of those in the core rule book. So Helm is plus 1D protection. Coat of Mail is 4D protection. Coat of Mail, oh, we got more than one, thank God. Mail shirt, 3D protection. Mail shirt, 3D. Leather corselet, 2D protection. Leather corselet, 2D. Leather shirt, 1D. Great. Oh no. Well, here's great blow. No, that's great. That's great bow. It's great bow. Bow. Dagger. Huh. Okay. Where's my box? Get everything back in the box here. I like the cards. I got plenty of dice to play, it seems like. I hope you enjoyed that one. I'm glad I returned to it. It seems that seemed very evocative. It seemed very evocative of the feel. Yeah, well, and I'm glad because I'm big on cards too. All right, you wanna? There we go. Look, even put everything away. Let me take this down. Turn off this. Oh yeah, the chase cards. Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Yes, there are chase cards in Blade Runner. So did that work well? Did the chase work well with the chase cards? I guess so, because you say you loved them. So we were looking at different chase mechanics and things like that. All right. Well, I tell you what, let's do. Let's do one more thing. So what time is it? Okay, so 11 o'clock. That took a little bit longer than I was expecting, but that's okay. Let's try to have a really good day today. I have got my day planned out here, and what I'm thinking about doing is doing a stream. It's just a core creative productivity stream right after this in just a few minutes for the channel members. So if you just want to, if you want to hang out and you want to work on something, we're not going to be talking, we're going to be chatting. We're going to be focusing on our core creative activity, doing Pomodoros, because I need some way to be held accountable as well. My brother challenged me 10 days ago to do 30 days of the shred workout, the 20-minute workout. And so I got up this morning and I did that. So I did my day prep. I got up, I already did the exercise. But what I didn't do because of that is sit down and work on core creative activity. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit here and I'm going to work on script writing and then RPG writing. And if you need somebody to help you and do the same kind of thing, then what we'll do is we'll just do that together. And this will be a place where we can do our Pomodoros, and we can, Pomodoro, by the way, if you don't know, is 25 minutes of intense, focused work on whatever it is, whatever activity is that you're trying to do. And then you take a 5-minute break. And those 5-minute breaks are really great because you can stand up, you can hit your watch rings and things like that, clear your mind, and then get right back to another 25 minutes worth of work. And then you take a 5-minute break, and then you do 25 minutes worth of work. So I like working in Pomodoros. Well, yes, the reason it's called Pomodoros is because the original guy who created the Pomodoro technique used a tomato timer, and the timer was a tomato, and so he called it a Pomodoro. So if you do one Pomodoro, you're doing 25 minutes worth of work. So if you want to think about what is it that you want to do, and what would make you feel really good by the end of the day to have accomplished, well, let me see here. Here's what you do. Go with me to think about what your day is going to be like. What if you did it would make your day really fantastic, and then we'll do this on a stream together, holding ourselves accountable. So here is your productivity technique if you want to join us right after this stream.
Well, I manage my department, and I've been doing that for several years now.
Your department's just you, right?
Yes, Jim, but I am not easy to manage.
If you would like to join in on being more productive with me and everyone else here on the stream, but are in need of a system to help you out, here's an easy system that you can adopt and that I recommend. Grab a sheet of paper. I find that an index card folded in half is the perfect size for this. But if you don't have an index card, no problem. Any scratch piece of paper will work just fine. Just grab it and a pen or pencil. Think for a moment and come up with the 3 things that if you were to accomplish them today, you would know and feel that it was a great day. I bet you can take a breath right now and think for just a moment, and you will know what those 3 things are. We're going to call these 3 items our big rocks. Our objective is to move these big rocks during the day. Now, don't make the rocks too big, because then you can't move them. Rocks that are too big to move in about a third of a day, we call those huge rocks. Moving the huge rocks is our major multi-day goals in life. But in order to move them, we have to break up the huge rocks into big rocks that we can actually pick up and move around. But we don't want these rocks to be too small, because although small rocks are easy to move, we don't feel sufficient accomplishment when we move them. Moving the big rocks makes us feel accomplished because they advance us toward our objectives in significant ways. You decide what size tasks are small, big, and huge rocks for you. If you get all 3 of these tasks done, then go ahead and add a 4th or a 5th big rock. But don't do that unless you've finished your big 3. You want to look at your list at the end of the day and feel success and accomplishment. You can use your phone for this if you want to, but I think a sheet of paper is better because then you don't have to pick up your phone to check your list of big rocks and potentially get sucked into all the distraction on your phone. The phone will also let you put 20 or 30 things on the list, no problem. Half an index card will keep this tight and focused. I know there are dozens of things on my to-do list on my computer, and that's too much. This method allows me to extract what I really need to do during the day and focus on that. If you're already using a productivity method that you like, no problem, use that. Do what works for you. Now let's write down our big rocks and try to get them done between now and the wind down live stream in the evening. That's where we check in, see how we did, celebrate success, and see how we can improve tomorrow. If you need encouragement during the day, look to the Raven Keep Discord server. It's a great and constructive community. Let's take over the Geekverse. All right, so everybody know what you want to accomplish today, whether you're working on RPGs, you're working on your video games, you're trying to work on writing, you're just trying to prep you for a session that you're going to role play with your friends this weekend, whatever that is. I got my notebook right here. So this morning I did my workout. I did day prep today, so feeling good. Showered, got the EDC on. Everything prepped. So when you walk out the door, you know you're ready. You got all of your equipment. You got all your gear on. So I did all of my prep. I worked on Raven Keep for half an hour. Now this morning we have gone for 90 minutes here. So I've done 90 minutes of YouTube live. So the next thing that I've got to do, I want to do these things for the rest of the day. I want to spend 3 hours working on script writing. I want to spend 2 hours working on RPG development. And then I need to go to some other projects that I've got that I want to spend 2 hours on. And then I've got to clean also for this day. So each one of these blocks represents 25 minutes. So 1 Pomodoro. So that's what we'll be trying to knock out Pomodoros on the productivity stream here in just a moment. Kind of a new thing. Just try, I like to try new things, shake things up, see how things are going. So if I could do that, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 hours of accounted time. Like if we get started here at 11:30 my time, so about 20 minutes or something like that. That means that I got 7, 8 hours. That's a lot of time to account for. That's a lot of time to account for in a particular day. But I find you have really got to make time do what you want to do. You have to really make time do what you want to do. But I said that I was always happiest. I found that I was happiest when I was tracking my time by like 15-minute intervals. And so, hey, if that's when I was happiest, hey, let's get back to this and let's make time do what we've got, what we want it to do. Let's move our big rocks. Let's get things accomplished. All right. So I will put up I'll put up a members stream then, and we'll just it's gonna be chill. We're gonna be doing our Pomodoros. It's a creative thing, but you can come in, you can check in, you can say, here's what I'm trying to get accomplished. Here's what I'm trying to work on. All right, everybody is accountable. Then in 25 minutes. Okay, then we'll break and we'll see how we did. Exactly. Barney says, yep, no better feeling than an accomplishment day. Really, it's true. It completely is. So that's what we're going to do. All right. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with me. I hope that you had a great time. Be constructive and be creative. And so if you're a channel member, I will see you for a productivity stream here in maybe about 20 minutes. And we'll get this going on and we'll knock out our stuff and get our stuff done for the day. Enjoyed it, everybody. Later.